Welcome back to another episode of Multifamily AP 360. And today's our guest is Andy Gurczak from All City Adjusting. So welcome back, Andy. How are you doing?
Ram, I'm great. Thank you for having me again for the second time. Can't believe it's been a year since I was on your show. Yeah, a year went by quick.
Yeah, sure. A little bit about Andy. Andy Gurczak is the founder of All Adjusting, a licensed public adjusting firm with a focus on making sure their clients get what they truly deserve from their insurance claims. For the last decade, Andy has not only protected thousands of people from being defrauded, but he has also helped them receive more money than what their insurance initially offered. Andy grew up with the family motto if you are going to do something, do it right or don't do it at all. A sentiment he now carries into his business. So, with that, Andy, you want to add anything?
No, but I definitely hear my parents say that in the back of my head. You're going to do it right. So we definitely carry that motto with All City and definitely make sure that if we're going to handle claims, we're going to handle them as best as we can and make sure that our clients come up with the best outcome.
Sure, thank you. And many people don't fully understand what
Yes.
public adjusters. Can you break it down in simple terms?
Yeah, they use the word public adjusters. That's the designation we have. I would look at it more as private adjusters. We're a legal representative of the insured. So we legally represent them in the state we're licensed in. We advocate for them. We're able to negotiate settlements. We're able to interpret the policy, build the claim for them, negotiate, settle it, and the whole 9 yards. And again, we're protecting the insured, right? We're going after the insurance, make sure they get the full payout, that they don't get delayed, they don't get denied, and then come out on top. So we are, besides an attorney, we're the before attorney to represent them and make sure their claim is paid fairly.
Cool. So you might have helped like now thousands of clients get more from their insurance claims. So what's the one of the most memorable cases you have worked?
Yeah, one we just finished in California. It was a fire, and this wasn't from the Palisades fire, the wildfires. This fire actually happened about 13 months ago. It was an investor. He had a large rental. And that was, I don't want to say the insurance company name, but that fire happened. Our estimate was, I think, 850. The insurance came back at 150. 13 months, so literally back and forth. We flew out to California, I think 3 or 4 times. They sent out, I don't know how many consultants to that job. We just settled that, I think, last month for 820. So pretty much right there, right where our numbers were. There was stuff in there that we could have negotiated, which we did at 820. So, but it took 13 months. But yeah, that claim from 150 to 150, 200 to 830. So you can see the increase and the value that a good, solid public adjuster brings.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So what are some of the biggest misconceptions homeowners and business owners have about insurance claims?
The misconceptions, I think that they can do it themselves, right? I think a lot of people say, hey, I'm just going to see what the insurance offers. And then they think they could do a lot themselves. And not saying that they can't, but how many people actually have handled claims? Or if you handled one, have you handled more than one? And what kind of claims, right? Now insurance companies are more inclined to deny losses and find ways to delay claims and then deny them than they have previously. So if you're not being represented by a legit public adjuster, then you put yourself in just jeopardy of getting your claim, again, delayed for months, ultimately denied. Right. And if those don't happen, then you just get a low offer. We look at estimates all the time. Estimates are always underpaid. You have to remember, they're sending out vendors and adjusters and everyone that works for the insurance companies, that gets paid by the insurance companies. Whose interest? If you sent me out to a client's house, Rama, I'm looking for your best interest, right? You're paying my checks. So if you tell me, hey, Andy, make sure that we pay for this, but if you see this, don't pay for this, I'm going to do what you pay my paychecks, right? So yeah. Who's actually looking out for the other side? No one. It's like they're going to a court hearing with no attorney. They're representing themselves, right? And then when you're going to wait till you get sentenced to hire someone and represent you, makes no sense. Just like you guys hire an investment world, you have good agents, you build a team with good real estate agents, investors that have money that can help, lenders, tax accountants. It's the same thing with the public adjuster. The misconception is I can do it myself, or sometimes people don't even know. The worst part is a lot of people don't know there's someone like us.
Awesome. So insurance companies often underpay or deny claims. So why do you think that
happens so often? There's a book called, if your listeners ever want a good read, a short read, it's called From Good Hands to Boxing Gloves. It's the greatest book ever on insurance. And it goes and it describes how insurance companies have become billion-dollar industries, like Allstate, right? For example, they're publicly traded. So whose interest do they have? They're shareholders. So they went from $1 million company to being in the billions, and their stock going up. How is it if stocks are going down, but theirs keeps going up? And there's so much, people are like, oh, they're paying out all this money. There's so much hurricanes, and how are they making record profits? If you underpay so many claims they have, and then you deny most of them, you're making more money. And at the end of the year, you put more losses, right? So they're saying, hey, we lost all this money, but technically they underpaid all these claims. So in that book, it describes it very well. And I don't want to go into detail, but there is a system to it and the process. And now Allstate is supposedly the original that started this process. And then other companies have taken in that process and used that same exact tool that they use. Not saying it's illegal. It's their business model. It's how they want to do business, but it hurts the insured.
So what's the most common mistake people make when filing an insurance claim?
Talking too much. That's the easiest, talking too much. A lot of people just want to share their whole life story. When you start talking a lot, you say the wrong stuff, it throws flags. Now your claim's being held up or ultimately denied because you just used the wrong words. Mold's not covered, flood's not covered unless you're in flood zone and you have flood coverage. A lot of words that people use that get your claim denied before even an adjuster comes out. We have letters from insurers that says, hey, your claim has been denied because you said you had this loss. The insurer, that's not what I had. I had a pipe burst. You told them a flood. Oh, I don't know. It's the same thing. There was water. I'm like, correct. But this means one thing. This means another thing in the insurance policy. So talking too much is number one, definitely.
Oh, thanks. How do you and your team step in when an insurance company isn't offering a fair settlement?
Yeah, so we step in for our long-term clients and clients that have been with us. We handle the claims right from the beginning, right? From as soon as the claim happens, we inspect it, make sure it's even legitimate to call the claim in, that it's going to be worth it for the insured. If they have a $10,000 deductible but have $20,000 worth of damage or 15, it might not be worth financially for them to make a call to the insurance company. So we'll advise them. Now, for people that call us that are in the middle of the claim process, then we'll come in right away. That gets a little bit more difficult because now we're playing detective and we're trying to play detective for the last 3-4 months or however long that claim has been open. What's happened? What did Rama do, or what did Rama and his team tell this insurance company for the 4 months we haven't been there? So that's what we're trying to build. And then we have a team. It's not just me, right? There's a contents team. There's 5 people just on the contents that just inventory contents all day, right? Our lead estimator spent 20 years with the largest insurance company handling their largest losses in California, New York, like literally traveled the state. So our team is built to handle large commercial properties and large losses. And that's how we've grown. And that's the service we provide. Like, we have a whole team. It's not 1-2 people. It's a whole team effort that we have built, and everyone has experience, right? Whether it's in, like myself, in construction. When we look at projects, when we look at damages, I'm not looking from an eye of an estimator. I'm looking from an eye of a contractor or a person that has to rebuild this back. What is it going to take? What is the actual material? I'm looking at it from an angle, and I'm looking at when they use a software to estimate damages, right? It gives you like, replace this floor. It gives you in an hour. But I know, looking at something, say, hey, this is not going to take an hour, because this is glued, there's nails here. This is going to take 2.5 hours based on just normal knowledge and doing the work myself. So everyone in our team brings some kind of experience from a different industry.
Sure. So walk us through typical claim process, and when should someone consider hiring a public adjuster like you?
Can you repeat that, Rama? I'm sorry.
So walk us through the typical claims process, and when should someone consider hiring a public adjuster like you?
Yeah. So the ideal situation is, if you're an investor or landlord, you should have a public adjuster at front. Like, you should have one on your team. You should have one talk to, hey, these are my properties, look over my policies, make sure I'm covered, have you on speed dial. Because you want to hire our company or a public adjuster company, not just ours. There's great companies out there, not just us, but you want to call them as soon as possible. The quicker you call a public adjuster, the quicker the claim gets handled, the less delays there is, and the better payout. So you want to call as soon as. When we get a claim in, we'll send our letter of representation to the insurance company, which then hands over all the communication going through us. So any kind of communication questions goes through us, not goes directly to insured. So we can buffer questions. And then again, we deploy our team, whatever state that we're licensed in. We're licensed in 40 states. We have an estimating team that goes out, captures photos, sketches, measures the home, documents the loss, and then gets any documents from the city, any other supportive documents to prove the loss for the damage. We have a contents team that literally digs through a whole home, inventories every item in that home, prices it, and that's all in-house. We don't have subcontract. It's all in-house. We literally build a team for everything, which is great because we can manage how quickly, which lists we process quicker. And then we have a forensic accountant on staff that calculates loss of income, business income, like all of it, having that in-house. So all that goes into it, builds a file, sends that into the insurance company, and then we're able to negotiate with the insurance company and settle it.
Okay, sure. So, and what are some red flags that indicate an insurance company is trying to underpay a claim?
Red flags. One thing is if someone sends us an estimate and some of the line items they use or some of the pricing they use, you could tell right away that they're trying to underpay, right? There's one with State, well, don't want to say it, but State Farm uses this all the time. They use the new construction. So if you have a $200,000 estimate, and most estimates on the system we all use is a restoration estimate. It's based on restoration, meaning removing stuff, working around stuff. And there's a new construction estimate, which says that you're basically tearing a building down and literally drops the estimate by 20%. So if 200,000, now you're looking at 160,000, just because you're using this new construction estimate method, which technically should be used if you're literally gutting a house, like you're building from ground up. But they're trying to use it on homes that like you just removing the drywall. And they're leaving, like we just literally had a estimate. We just signed a client that has a $300,000 fire that they used the price list. And we literally have 3 other claims with other adjusters that are using the legitimate price list, right? So that's the red flag right there. That's one commonly we see.
Sure. So have you noticed any trends or changes in how insurance companies handle claims over the years?
What's happening now and the change we see now, Rama, is insurance companies going away from having their own staff and trying to hire vendors, engineers, consultants, anyone that they can push the blame to. It wasn't us that wrote the estimate, it was the consultant or the contractor. Going away from having experienced adjusters that we used to meet on at properties and settle losses to now having consultants and all these other people that shouldn't be writing estimates. Because if I'm the contractor and I'm going to your house because you had a fire and the insurance sent me, and Rama, you tell me, hey, I don't want to use you, I have my own contractor, I'm going to be like, I'm not going to be doing this job. Why do I care writing a full estimate? Or why do I care actually writing all the damages in this? I don't have no interest in this. So that's where it's going, whereas insurance companies are trying to use more consultants, more engineers, more people to say, hey, this is old, this shouldn't be paid for, and stuff like that.
Sure. So what challenges did you face in building adjusting company and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, the biggest challenge we had in the beginning was getting a client base. When you're dealing with fires and large loss water, that's stuff that you don't see. You can drive through a neighborhood that just got hit by hail or storm, and you could see the damage. We don't handle residential hail or wind. We do large loss and commercial loss. So it's getting that client base, right? Like, how do you know someone had a fire? And if they did, how do I contact you and what do I say? So it's building that client base, building those relationships, the community. We grew as a company with our investors. One of our major clients was an investor in like 20 states. As they had more claims in certain states, we followed them to those states and reciprocated our license, build offices in those states, just because we followed their portfolio and the claims they had in those states. That's how we grew. So we grew with our client. But the hardest challenge was definitely building a client base and building recurring calls, putting your name out there, educating people. Because again, people don't really know about us. So yeah, that was probably the biggest challenge we had.
And your business relies on trust, not on your business, any business. So how do you ensure your clients feel confident in working with you?
What we do when we talk to new clients is educate them and tell them about the process. Tell them what they're going to expect from the insurance company. And with the greatest thing, once you start telling someone, hey, you're going to see this, or you're going to see the adjuster doesn't do this, or they do this, they go, you know what? You're right. They actually did that, or they didn't do this. And a week later, they call and they say, holy smokes, everything you said was true. All that you said what happened. So we're just trying to educate people, right? Education is our big thing, and build that relationship. And at the end, say, Rama, we want to make sure you feel comfortable working with us, because we're not going to take your claim on unless we can bring value. And we can bring value to pretty much every claim. Because if you had a claim that's a sewer backup with a $10,000 limit, I said, Rama, I can't bring any value to you. You're going to call the insurance. You have $20,000 worth of damage. They're going to just max out your limit. You don't need us. Being honest, being transparent, and then selling the team. The only selling we do is selling the team we have, the people we have, whether it's Ashley, Tiffany, Susanna, Chris, Will, right? Like the whole team here. You could just, everyone's great. Everyone really cares about what we do and has an interest in the client.
Sure. So what's next for All City Adjusting? Any big goals or expanding?
Yes, we do have big goals. Our next thing is really, we're looking at two avenues, right? We're looking at banks, relationships with banks and properties they have to help them with claims. And then also being the vendor management companies, right? Creating those long-term relationships, being vendors for those banks or management companies is our next avenue. And that's where we're trying to expand.
Cool. So, any one learning that played major role in your personal or business life?
One personal learning, that question I'm just going to answer with, there's a person I met a long time ago, Dwayne Luckett, that changed my whole life view and business and wealth and self-improvement. And that was based all on his learning through his life. But he was like one person that changed. It was like, I have books of anything. He's the one person that definitely changed my whole outlook on life and business.
Sure. Excellent. And any books that impacted you or any recent books you're reading?
Yeah, the one behind me, Who Not How. That's a great book. I have that because I refer that to a lot. One that always sticks out to me, or a couple actually, Rich Dad, Poor Dad was one of the first financial books I read that just made me realize some stuff. And then there's a book that not many people know about. It's called The Slight Edge. I always recommend this. Edge made a huge difference on me and every day doing the little stuff and letting it compound. So
Sure. Awesome. Thank you very much. And how can listeners connect with you, Andy?
yeah, for your listeners, like I did last time, I hope they take advantage of this. They can call me directly at 708-655-4186. That's my direct cell. If your clients want me to review policies, have questions about policies, their properties, if they're insured, it doesn't have to be a claim question. I'm free anytime. They can reach out to me. They can look us up or just Google All City Adjusting and they'll find tons of videos and educational stuff.
Awesome. And thank you very much, Andy.
Rama, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. So I'm looking for next year, third time.
Sure. Thank you.